Welcome back to Untitled Label, where we strive for greatness. Today we're going to talk about how I use my previous career's time management style to improve my current one now. Before we get into today's video, I'd like to say thank you for coming back if you're a current subscriber. If you just happen to click on this video for the first time, take a second, listen to what I have to say before you actually consider even subscribing or giving me a thumbs up. At the end of the video, if you do like what you saw, what you heard, consider subscribing if you haven't yet. If you have, thank you again for coming back. So while I was in the Navy for the 6 years that I spent in, my time scheduling wise, outside of being even out to sea, everything was kind of structured and everything had a set time as to when everything was done. So my thing is how I kind of changed my mindset to be a little bit more productive, I would say, is still using that time schedule, those blocks, and applying it to my career, my life now. The thing is, you need a lot of discipline to stick to it, because in this situation, you're doing it for yourself now. You're not doing it because you're worried about so-and-so getting on you for not doing what you have to do. So typical day would start at 6:30. For being on the ship and mustering, you would start at 6:30. So now my life outside post-Navy, I start my day at 6. 6 is when I usually wake up, unless sometimes I do have to wake up earlier than that, but it's not very often. So I start at 6. Now, following muster, you would have this thing called cleaning stations. Cleaning stations, oh my God. It's funny now because at the time it was such a big waste of time, but I get it. You have to keep the ship clean. So cleaning stations in the Navy was about an hour. Don't know if it's the same now or not, but it was about an hour long. So instead of me just lollygagging around when I start the day at 6, brush my teeth, do whatever, I start with a workout. So I'll work out probably for around an hour to an hour 30, usually closer to an hour 30, sometimes even 2 hours. So I'll block off, that'll be probably from 6 to 8. I have that scheduled as to doing whatever I need to, and then working out as well. So that will incorporate cardio. So I'll run, and I'll actually do a little bit of use my body weight, pull-ups, stuff like that. And I have just simple dumbbells that I use, 35s, 45s, and 60s. And I'll do that. I have like a 4-day cycle that I use, and that's pretty much what I do. So usually after cleaning stations, the ship actually comes alive. People are actually starting their workday. Shops are opening up. By shops, I mean different departments on the ship that do different things. So everything's opening up. People usually try to start their maintenance, probably get supplies. Remember, getting stuff from supplies, getting your hazmat from supplies is a big thing. But for me, I use that time, that second block, to actually now clean a little bit around the house. I'm very neat. I try to be very organized. So I'll use that a little bit of time to just clean up the kitchen, just help out around the house and clean up. You gotta have a nice clean place. Once cleaning up, I'll take a shower. I'll still have a little bit of time to kind of go over the stuff that I need to do for the day. So I'll look at that, and then I will make sure I have everything loaded. Parts are on my toolkit, stuff is in the car, ready to go, so I don't forget anything. Next thing is gonna be travel. So I have to accommodate, depending on where I go. If I'm in Houston, it'll be probably about an hour's worth of travel to get to the downtown area with traffic. So taking that into account, I allow enough time for me to get downtown, get to the customer site without having to rush, worry about traffic and stuff like that. The next block is allocated to doing whatever I need to do at the customer site. So this can be simple maintenance that takes me maybe hour and a half to possibly 3 hours, to maybe a repair that takes me literally all day. So I have to kind of accommodate and be flexible with my time. That way, if something happens, I I dedicate the amount of time that is needed to actually try to get that instrument back up and running. Speaking of time management, I've teamed up with LFF Tech. They sent me over this weather station. It's a weather station as well as an atomic clock. Now, the significance of this is if you want to know the exact time, no matter what, an atomic clock is what you need. Had the opportunity to set it up. It was pretty easy to set up. It took me about maybe 10-15 minutes or so. You have to actually, there's an outdoor attachment that you're just gonna see. That outdoor attachment actually links up to this station, which is gonna be inside of your house. And it takes about 10-15 minutes for it to sync up. And you're actually, I think it's via satellite, and you're gonna actually get a signal, and it's actually gonna update your time. So the neat thing is this has the atomic clock feature down here, the outdoor temperature, which is linked to that piece of equipment I just showed you, indoor temperature right here as well, and then the date. There you go. If you guys are interested in getting yourself one of these weather stations, not only do they have these weather stations, they have a couple other products as well. You guys can check that out. And my main thing is just having that atomic clock, because that way you know for certain you have the right time. If the maintenance gods are with me and everything goes well, I'll allocate time to drive back home. I usually try to eat at home, that way I'm saving a little bit of money. If not, I'll grab something on the way back home, eat some lunch, decompress a little bit, have some fun time outside with the sky, throwing the ball around, and then go back in there, send off reports that I need to, whatever kind of loose ends I need to tie up. That's sending emails, closing out jobs, everything that comes with the job. So I try to do that the same day. That way it's nothing ever piles up. If you keep your pile nice and clean, the job is easy. But it takes good time management, and you have to dedicate that time when it's needed. Because if you don't, at the end of the day, it's going to just compound on itself, and that's just gonna make it hard. Now, I'll be real with you. There's been days where there's a lot going on. So I'll be actually, throughout the whole evening time, sometimes I'll eat and then go back, come outside for a little bit, and then go back, do a little bit more work. That's how I work. I chip away at a little bit all day long. But eventually you have to unplug. You have to step back and just do something else. So whenever that time comes during the long day, the long busy day, next thing is going to be to I have other businesses that I am running at the same time. So my main concern right now focuses more so on Aegis Garments, since we have two big projects that we're kind of working on at the time. Then comes Untitled Label, with focusing on video production. So once I'm caught up on both of those two aspects of the business as well, I then kind of just spend the rest of the time, the rest of the evening. I do sneak in dinner as well in there. I spend the rest of the evening kind of just watching YouTube, catching up on a lot of different channels that I like to watch. A lot of them are finance, just learning what's going on in the world, and just some of them I just like to watch just to kind of get ideas for what I'm doing here at Untitled Label. So after that, bedtime, and then it's just rinse and repeat, and I do this literally every single day. There are days where certain things change here and there. If I have to travel, for example, that's a different schedule in itself, but I just use that same Navy scheduling topic of having things blocked off and just apply it to my life now. Now I'm using this tactic to do it for myself, and by doing so, I'm seeing great results, and I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not gonna stop. That's about it. I want to thank LFF Tech for sponsoring this video. They were kind enough to send me that atomic clock that you guys saw. Not only is it an atomic clock, it's also a weather station. They were nice enough to send that over to me. I was able to check it out, install it at the house, and kind of play around with it. I think it's pretty neat how this video ties into time management, as with that atomic clock, you're definitely never going to have the wrong time. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out some of these other videos that YouTube algorithm is suggesting to you. Obviously, you've watched this whole video, you might find these options interesting to you as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and give me a thumbs up, and definitely consider sharing with someone else that might be interested. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one.